joining us for another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. I believe this is an actual episode 20. So
This.
thank you for joining us for episode 20. This week we are going to talk about the zebra killings, which happened in San Francisco, 1973, 1974. And I actually never heard about that, so we'll talk about that. We're also joined by Brandy Watts. She is here with us again.
Hola.
And so we're gonna go ahead and get started. As always, we start with the church announcements. Uh, the respect factor. I don't think we kind of talk about respect and not arguing with people in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Whoops.
respect your pastor. Okay. When you come in the church, be appropriate. Don't sit in the front row and don't talk while the pastor's speaking. So we just gonna say that, and if you say something in the comments that is not racial but racist, bigoted, you will be deleted and you will be blocked. Period. That's it. Those are the church announcements as follow. Please govern yourselves accordingly and obey your ushers. That's it. All right. So last week, we did a show about what was stressing us out. You know, the election anxiety, and we were kind of dressed down in robes and bonnets. I was informed today that my instructions about the attire weren't clear. I suggested, since I was still sick, look, I'm just gonna wear this robe. Do y'all have robes? Wear your bonnet? Whatever. Jackie said, I don't have a robe, but I can wear my bonnet. I said, okay. Brady said, well, I'll just wear a robe and a bonnet. I said, okay, fine.
That's not what I said.
What was it that you said?
Look, I s- you told me, and I have receipts to prove that you said just wear your robe and your bonnet.
Uh-huh.
So to me, that meant that we was, we gonna dress down. I didn't know that Brown was gonna come on looking like a solid gold dancer, and we was looking like uh, swap meet security guards. I wasn't aware. So
That's what
yeah.
Listen, I didn't have any sort of instructions about what your face would look like. I just said, wear your bonnet, wear your thing.
And you didn't have your bonnet on either. You
Ready?
had your bonnet on, but then when we started the show,
Yep. She
somehow
just
the
it was
bonnet, it was so luxuriously removed.
Let me see my bonnet. Let me show y'all. This is my bonnet, y'all. This is my bonnet. Okay, this is it. And if I put it on,
You see
and
how easy that was? See, look how easy
I'm
that was.
doing a lot right now to put this thing on right here. Okay, so
How easy that could have been easily
this is
done.
me in the bonnet,
Especially since you was sick and shut in.
and I'm gonna put this on, and I might just wear this for the rest of the show because I feel like y'all need some vindication. Um,
Yeah, I don't need no vindication. I'm just looking at how easy it was for you to put on right now.
but this is not like outside. Like this is not for company.
Was I looking like no company?
But listen, I
I
said a
wasn't looking
robe.
like no company.
But I said a robe.
And a
Y'all said
bonnet.
I'm gonna wear my bonnet. I said okay, fine. I didn't say I was gonna wear mine. I said a robe.
you know what? For me, it wasn't even that you had a bonnet. It was just that when you said we're gonna chill, I assume we chilling. Then you come on here, baby,
Looking like
fresh
little
meats,
Rachi.
looking amazing, like you always do. So I'm like, I thought she said, okay,
Listen,
well, you
I
know,
was I was sick. I was ill and infirm. Um,
you look great, child.
I don't want to look how I feel. So that's how I showed up.
But we was looking how she felt because that's what she told us. That's what she told us.
So I just felt like,
That's
you know,
exactly what it was.
they said that I bamboozled them last
Oh,
week. I didn't give clear instructions. There was no clear what we were supposed to do. But I said robes. They did it.
Next time she tries to mess like that, I'm just showing my picture. She ain't gonna pull me into that again.
Lit. Okay, y'all know I don't
Or
show
I'll
up.
just say,
I don't show up for the show without makeup on. I never have in the last 20
but
some weeks that we've been doing this.
It's true.
I mean
So
that's you at least gonna put your brows on, if nothing else.
right, but I got to be here.
But you got more than brow.
No one knows me in real
Right,
life.
it's just like we thought when you said dress down, we just assumed
That don't mean nothing but
that your face. But you
Mm.
look really pretty though,
thank you.
Beyonce. Looks real pretty.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that, but I'm sorry that I didn't make clear
Well, you can
what.
take your bonnet off now because you got them scragglers hanging out.
Yeah, thank you. Oof, it's troubling to me that I have to wear that. Okay, but I got that. This lady at the marketplace that makes those. She kind of dragged me into her
Mm.
cubicle one day, and she was like, "Oh, have you been to my
Yeah, that's
cubicle?" And
cute.
I said no, and she's like, "Oh, you come now." I said, "Okay." And I tried to get out of it, and I was like, "I'm gonna get my smoothie though." And she's like, "No, they call your name." So I ended up spending like $60 over there with her. Yeah, that's what she made me. Nice bonnet though, homemade, handmade.
It's a cute bonnet. It's a cute bonnet though.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mm.
But I will not be wearing that on camera again. So robe, no bonnet. All right, so very interesting things I saw on Al Gore's internet this week. Um, there was the Million Maga March over the weekend, trying to
Mhm.
mock the Million Man March, Million Woman March. Not a million people, a couple thousand. It was good, nice turnout. Um, Cheeto showed up in a motorcade and drove through and probably went golfing. So they got their thrill
He
by him
he
waving.
drove through after he went golfing.
Oh, was
He
it
was on his
after?
Mhm.
way back home from golf.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He couldn't even be bothered to show up at his own march. Um,
Nope.
and of course, there was violence in the streets, and it for the Trump, anti-Trumpers. It didn't even make sense for them to go out there. It didn't even make a difference. He lost the election. It doesn't matter at this point. So don't even engage in any counter protesting because it's just going to bring violence. As a counter protester, you're going to get arrested. You're going to get hurt, and the Trumpsters are just going to go home. So don't even engage with them. So that was the
Right.
thing this weekend. I also saw today. So there's a group called the Proud Boys, and if you remember during one of the debates, he told the Proud Boys to stand down, and that's like a white supremacist militia group, whatever group.
Mhm.
Well, today there's a viral video going around with their initiation. Did y'all see that?
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay, so
I haven't.
if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. I will send you this video. Now,
Okay.
if anyone is familiar with gang culture, typically to get into a gang, female or male gang, you have to be jumped in,
Oh.
meaning that
Mhm.
the senior members of the gang, or even just members of the gang, there's a certain amount of time that you will be beat upon, kicked, hit, whatever, so that you can be initiated into the gang. And it's really violent
Right.
and you really get hurt. But if you make it through that, then you've kind of gone through your trial by fire. Well, the Proud Boys apparently have a similar initiation process.
Hmm.
Not the tough, puff and tough. Not the huff and tough.
I don't even know if kindergartners fight like this. Um, it was really like this. Like they were like, put up your dukes. Like they were. pugilists from 1901 or something. They were like, put up your dukes, and they were doing this literally, punching like the things at Chuck E. Cheese from Charles Edward Cheese that they used to have back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and they, this right here. That's
That's what it.
It was ridiculous. It was like they were giving each other feather punches. It was like, and the guys naming cereal as they're supposedly not really beating him up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even get where that comes from, but it was pretty bad. I would have been pretty embarrassed.
it's
I
ridiculous.
mean, it was just a waste of time. They probably should have just did a handshake ceremony.
Yeah, that's bad.
Mary Mac, like that's
Right.
it is embarrassing, and you're thinking that these are the guys who want to overthrow the government or however whatever they're trying to do. I don't know,
Right.
but this is the initiation you have. Y'all didn't even get drunk. You didn't even do a kegger. You didn't, get run over by a truck. You guys didn't do anything. You didn't do the blood oath. Nothing. You guys were like doing this with each other, grown ass men. It's comical and embarrassing. And Jack, like I said, if you haven't seen it, we will send it to you because it's all over the
Okay, please.
outdoors internet. Also, um, Cheeto is still claiming the election. He tweeted, "I won
Yes,
the election," and everyone is trolling him. Even Twitter is trolling him. Twitter at the bottom said, their disclaimer, it says something to the tune of, "Per according to our sources, this is not true," or something like that. Like, are you serious? Like, are we still doing this? I won the
So
like this.
stupid.
Now, this last 4 years has
He's
been
such a child.
yes. This last 4 years has been a roller coaster, and we have seen some of the ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But this, he is completely off the rails at this point, and um, these next 60 days that we have, is it 60 days? Maybe 45 days, something like that. This is gonna be a mess, y'all, because it's
Yeah.
January. What do we say? Is it the first?
I feel like
Is it January 20th all the time for the inauguration?
I think it's the 20th.
January 20th.
Yeah, I think it's still the 20th.
So that's 3 weeks into January. So that leaves almost 60 days, somewhere around there. Yeah, I can't count. But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. Most of the lawsuits that he's brought forth have been struck down. Um, everything has been divided up. The states have closed their books, and at this point, it is what it is. People are still just fighting a losing battle. It
Pretty much.
It makes no sense at all. Makes no sense at all. So I'm quite sure we'll see some more marches and people getting upset over the next few weeks. I don't anticipate.
Yeah, because my neighborhood has definitely not took down their Trump signs.
Yeah.
They are fully committed. So
And
I'm like, it just looks.
It's ridiculous. Okay. It's ridiculous. But if you want to keep a sign up, but conversely, a lot of people are taking their signs down. They're taking their stickers off their trucks and all of that because they want things to go back to normal. No, you keep that same energy.
Please.
Keep that same energy. So all that message people were talking and in your ear and all this stuff about Trump, keep that same energy. I have a coworker. The election Tuesday, he was like, I think this is gonna, Trump is gonna win. And I was like, I said, I can't do another 4 years. It's crazy. This dude has committed all types of crimes. He's like, I don't know what crimes he's committed. I said,
what? What do you mean?
Well, they don't talk about his crimes on Fox News, so
yeah. So he's he was fully committed and saying that Trump was going to win. And I was like, okay, I don't want to get into a political argument with you. It is what it is. So I haven't heard from him since Tuesday.
like right now they have no excuse of why he's golfing and doing all this stuff when we're getting what is it? How many Rona cases are we up to now? I mean,
Uh,
the map is
active.
red, basically. Like
Oh,
the
Oh,
last 12 days, we've been breaking our own records.
record. Here in Texas, we have 100. What is it? 100,000 new Rona cases, Jackie.
new corona cases.
100,000 new cases and about 12,000 new deaths from the coronavirus. I was at Costco. I don't know if I can just announce their name, but whatever. I'm a member. I was at Costco Saturday. Um, was it Saturday or Sunday? My days is mixed up. Y'all work nights. Over the weekend, and the toilet paper is it's starting again. Like they
Yes, it
were limiting the amount of toilet paper you could get. People were going out of the store with like tens of cases of water.
is. Mhm.
Really kind of stocking up on certain things, and so it's getting to the point where I think we're back to where we were in March and in April, where we're going to run out of supplies again. And then there was the viral picture of the lines at Fair Park where they were giving out all the food and stuff. They gave out like 600,000 pounds of food
Wow.
over the weekend. Um, at first, I thought the picture was fake. Like, this is a parking lot, or this is, something like that. No, it was actually at Fair Park where they were doing that. So
Yeah,
I think,
Costco. I went Friday.
mhm.
It opened at 10. We were there about 9:59. It was ridiculous. Like it was packed, and they were stacking up their baskets with toilet paper. And I'm like, what? We gonna do this again? Like, I'm like, it was pretty crazy. So you are right because it was like too many people there at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I think
Wait.
it's time for us to get prepared for the second wave of the pandemic.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's going to be much worse because um, it's allergy season, as y'all see with me with this tissue all the time. It's allergy season. This is the time of the year most people get sick because of the change in the weather.
Flu
Um,
season.
flu season.
Season, yes.
So it's all of those things compounded, and then people just are disregarding everything. You know,
Yeah.
people they just don't care. So
Don't wear a mask. Don't do nothing in
they don't want to
public.
do that.
But they'll fight with you about that mask. I
Listen,
don't know. I'll be like,
I walked into Target today. I was on the phone and I got out of the car and I walked into Target and I didn't know why these people stared at me like this. And that there's a young girl, she just looked at me dead in my face. And then I turned and I looked at another one of their workers and I was like, ooh, I don't have a mask on. She's like, I got one for you. And I was like, I'm so sorry. But just that because I got distracted, I forgot about the mask. But
Mhm.
I could tell that they didn't really want to tell me to go outside because people get violent about it. But I was turning
Mhm.
around. I said, "Oh, let me go get it." She's like, "No, I got one." So these stores will provide you with
Yes,
a
they
mask.
will.
If you forget it or whatever, they'll be like, "Here, we have them." They are really about promoting the safety of everybody in there. Like, if you don't got one, that's fine. We
Mhm.
got one for you. But listen, if these people don't want to wear a mask, don't go up to the random ass person talking about put your mask on. Mind your business, okay? People punch, people shoot, people are fighting because they don't want to put a mask on. Mind your business. Get 6, 7, 8, 12 feet behind them, in front of them, or whatever. But
Definitely.
don't engage anybody because you think
Yeah.
they should have a mask on and they don't have it on. Just let it go. Let that go.
You save yourself a lot of time by minding the
Yes,
business that pays
minding the business that pays you, and if it don't pay you, mind it anyway. Okay, maybe you could volunteer for that. Maybe you can pick up some volunteer hours. Finally, before we get into the final story, lastly, before we get into the final story, very disturbing story out of Louisiana. So last couple weeks ago, there was a story about a 15-year-old who named Quan Bobby Charles. They call him Bobby. He leaves his home with a friend and the friend's mother. Then he goes missing for 3 days. And he's found 25 miles away from his home in a cane field. And the official manner of death was drowning. So that was the first autopsy. But according to uh, gruesome
Oof.
autopsy photos, which I have not seen
Mm-mm.
and do not intend to see.
Do not.
A
Yeah,
lot
I
of
saw
people
it
are
by
saying,
accident. I wish I hadn't seen it.
yeah.
Me too.
A
It
lot of
put definitely
people are
put you in the
harping on
mind
this.
of Emmett Till. Definitely
Yes,
put you in the mind of Emmett Till for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. That's
You
what
don't
I've
want
heard. That this is
to not.
the way he looked. Um, was very much, reminiscent of Emmett Till. And that was a show we did, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago about Emmett Till. Now,
Mm-hmm.
those Emmett Till photos, his mother, Mamie, deliberately let those photos be published by Jet Magazine and I think a Chicago newspaper so that
Mm-hmm.
people can see. So if you've seen those, then you'll know what kind of what we're talking about. Here we go. Here we go. I don't last long. Um, uh, so they found him in a cane field, and the manner of death was considered to be drowning. And they're saying that the bruises in damage to his face was caused by wildlife. But his family wasn't buying that story. His family was like, nah, there's no way.
Don't buy
They
this.
they did um, get enough money to do an independent autopsy, and today, as of today the 16th. It is the 16th. This is the day we're recording the show. That as of November 16th, um, the second autopsy confirmed that it is likely drowning as the manner of death. Now, they're not sure what the cause of death is, so they don't know why he drowned. The lawyer for the family, the Charles family, is like, there wasn't enough water for him to drown. What?
Right.
How did he get into this cane field 25 miles away from his
Thank you.
home? What happened to him um, to cause him to drown there? They're saying that there were no injuries pre mortem. So before he died, they're saying that there weren't any injuries to his face.
Mm-hmm.
But again, how did he get? He didn't have anything, drugs in the system, anything like that. How did he get there? What happened to
Thing that
him?
I'm thinking of with him, with them saying he was drowning and not necessarily being enough water for him to drown, is maybe he was unconscious or whatever when he was placed there, that
Right.
he couldn't, just get up or turn his head or whatever. The whole thing looks, and I seen the picture and I didn't, I mean, I didn't want to look at the picture, but I was kind of forced to because it was in my feed. And it definitely, if it was wildlife, they would have done more than what he looked like. Like
Right.
there would have been, I'm probably thinking no face or
Right.
something. Like
Now, was there damage to this? Was there also damage to his body other than his face? As far as if wildlife, they're not just going to attack. I know they attack soft tissue, but they would have also attacked his hands, his feet.
well, we
Uh,
couldn't see that it was
I see the
we can't
body.
see his body. We can't see that his lip is missing, so we just see his teeth. But the animal's not just gonna rip your lip off and roll. You'd be like, I'm rolling out. I done had enough. Like it had to be. I just don't see animals doing it. I mean, it would be more damage to his face other than his lip. And I don't think, is it, Jackie, is even the whole lip missing or just half the lip?
Just
Or
half the lip.
so
It's just
that
half.
whole animal thing doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
It's not even a hole. It's just half. Like
what about
that's
his cheeks?
He
Any
has
damage
cheeks. He
here?
has everything except for this much lip missing.
And what about his eyes?
He just looks like he's been dead for a
yeah.
while and half his lip is missing. If it was your child, you would be able to tell that's your child.
Right. And then I also noticed that it's literally if any of the little damage that there is, it's in a small portion. That lip missing is drastic, but it's a small portion. And so I was thinking like if an animal was gonna do it, what made
What
them
animal just picks at this part right here?
little piece?
Not. That's why I asked
It's not
about his
nothing.
cheeks and his eyes, because the eyes. That's like if there's ants or whatever, they will definitely get into
Mm-hmm.
this area here. And as far as his cheeks, if there's crabs or crawfish or whatever, they're going
None of that.
to get into the mouth and go get into the mouth and eat from the inside out, but also attack the outside tissue. So also the nose. So all these things are is
Doesn't
it's
add
more
up.
than suspicious. And if my son left with you, where did you put him? Where did you leave him? Um, I just, I yeah.
And I don't know if either one of y'all know. I did do a lot of reading, and it doesn't sound like they're really putting anything on their mother and the on and her son. It's like they're just forgotten. Like it's just like they're
Yeah.
just leave them out.
And
And I'm just like,
yeah,
how they not a suspect?
Brandy brought up Kendrick Johnson from Georgia,
Ooh,
and
I
that
thought about
case,
Kendrick Johnson.
and how the four students that were associated with his death, um, their fathers were part of. I think somebody's father was in the GBI or something like that, some law enforcement something. So they
Mm-hmm.
were never charged. They weren't really even questioned or asked um, what happened, and they were the last ones to see Kendrick. In
Yes.
the same manner that the mother and the son were the last to see Bobby. So that's usually the first people that you ask and suspect,
Yes.
the last person that
Mm-hmm.
saw them alive. And from what in the first stories that I found about this is that they weren't even going to treat this as a homicide. It was a drowning and it's done, because his family was like, no, he was lynched. Like, this is the lynching. This is crazy. They weren't even going to investigate this as a homicide. They
No.
were just going to close this case. And
Even when they went to, even when they went to go tell, the police that they were missing, their first reaction was, "Oh, he probably at a football game." I'm like, "What? Really? That's your first thought? That he's at a football game?" I'm telling you, my child is missing. I haven't seen him all day, and you tell me he's at a football game.
yeah,
They did not take it seriously at all. And Brandy, I thought of Kendrick also. When the second I heard this story, he is the first person. Him and Emmett Till both popped up in my head
Mm-hmm.
immediately.
yeah.
They were the first stories I thought about because those boys literally got away with killing that baby, and they still trying to treat it as a mystery. But at the end of the day, they did it.
And
You
they
can't.
won't reopen the Kendrick Johnson case. They won't
Nope.
reopen it.
Can't stuff yourself. You.
You're gonna you're gonna strip yourself naked, stuff and roll yourself into a gym mat, hide the mat,
Mm-hmm.
and then take your own organs out and stuff your body with newspaper.
You
That's
talented.
plausible. Yeah, it's plausible. So this is not done. Uh, we will definitely hear more about the story with Bobby Charles going forward. I will put some information in the show notes. So if you want to donate to to his family, I'll put the GoFundMe information on there. There's also Instagram pages dedicated to that as well. So I'll put those in the show notes as well. Okay, so Jackie is going to talk about the zebra killings that happened in 1973 and 1974 in San Francisco. I ain't never heard about the zebra killings until you said I'm gonna do the zebra killings, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, okay, because I was like, all right, because you said it when you told me, and you were like, yeah, I'm gonna do the zebra killings, and I was like,
When you get
we
a list of the black serial killers, they
uh-huh.
were on it.
Oh
So when
really?
they were, and I did a glance, and I was like, "Oh, what the?" I'm like, "What Muslim power, black race, what?" So that's why I was like, "Oh, let me try to see what this one's about." And yeah, but it definitely was in San Francisco between October 1973 through April of 1974. However, they are trying to tie it to these killings like happening in the early 1970s. So they're trying to say that they've been doing this since the early 1970s, like 1970, 1971, and have killed way more than the number of people I'm going to name off.
Yeah,
But
I
they're
remember. I think I was looked, and they said they're trying to even tie it to some killings in the '60s, that the
mm-hmm,
late '60s as well.
Wow.
yeah, they're trying to, but I mean, can't
Well,
now.
okay, go. Okay, okay, tell a story because I heard something about them using the same gun all the time. Like they never switched guns. Like they kept when they
32
shot
caliber.
people, they kept shooting people with the same gun. So if they're trying to tie the people to from the 60s, late 60s, all the way through 1974, how are they going to do that? I mean, I know you can kind of link them together by motive and style of killing, but if they use the same gun in 1973, 1974, why wouldn't they use, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't there be
Yeah,
some similarities
I
to
agree.
other murders? So,
That's probably why they can't pin it. Um, the Zebra Moors, they were named after a special police force that were assigned to their murders, um, which was the Z brand or whatever, and then they kind of took over and named them Zebra Murders. Okay, so and first killing started October 19th. I had to write down because they literally have a bunch of days that they just went in a lot of people. So on October 19th, 1973, Richard and his wife Quita, they were walking home. They were kidnapped by some black men. Also, whenever I tell some of the stories, it's because there are some survivors of the people who got killed. They didn't kill everyone, but they definitely shot everyone. But Quita and Richard were walking home. They were kidnapped by some black men, put into their van. Quita was fondled and molested by a couple of the men. They decapitated her with a machete, and they attacked the husband, but he survived. Um, October the 29th, 1973, Frances was shot repeatedly when she was driving up to the University of California. A black guy jumped in front of the car, demanding a ride. When she was kind of startled, he just up and shot in there. She did survive. November the 9th, 1973, Robert was assaulted, um, but he gained control of the gun from. Okay, so November the 9th, 1973, Robert was assaulted, but he gained control of the gun, and so he ended up attacking the attacker, which his name was Leroy. And Leroy was arrested and convicted of assault with a deadly weapon.
now was he arrested at that time, or was this mm, like at the end of everything?
He was arrested at this time.
Okay.
He was, but I guess they tied him to the zebra murders because he may have been associated with the actual organization. So because he was associated with the organization, then I think that's why they tied him to it.
Okay.
November the 25th, we're in the same year, 1973. Salim was bound and shot dead in his grocery store restroom. December the 11th, Paul was shot 3 times in the chest while trying to make a phone call at a payphone, as well as Marita, which was 31 in the same night, was shoved into a doorway. She was shot twice in the chest, and the shot was so powerful when it spun her around from her chest to the back. They also shot her in the back, which is the initial shot that killed her. Um, on
What
December the
kind
13th,
of gun were they using?
a 32 caliber.
Wow. Okay.
But all of their murders are short ranged. They're up front. They're face to face. They're within at least a 6 feet distance.
So they're just
All of them.
running up on people like, done.
Yes.
Damn, that's bold as
Just
fuck.
yeah.
I
Just
don't
run
think
up
they
on.
were plan. They weren't even like planning who.
No.
They were just like, oh, there go a boy. There's over there. We gonna get him. It wasn't even like.
No.
It doesn't seem like they planned it. Like, okay, they followed anybody or anything. This is like, oh, there's a person. Let's go.
Yeah, literally. That's how it went.
Hmm.
Literally. And I said, um, on December the 13th, Mayor Arts of San Francisco, after he was having a meeting regarding some funding in a neighborhood to help with a clinic, while he was talking to 2 women, someone ran up and shot him in the chest, but he survived. He was actually a mayor. Um, December the 20th, Angela, who's was a college student. She was shot 3 times, ended up nicking her spine, paralyzed. And the same night, 81-year-old janitor Ilario was shot 4 times the same evening while walking home, and he died instantly. Um, and they're not wasting no time. I'm like, geez, they had a lot of time on their hands. December the 22nd, there were two victims. They were within 6 minutes apart. One of them was Neil was shot in the face, the neck, and the heart. The headshot is what killed him. And then a different killer chased down Mildred, who was 50. She was just heading to the bus stop, and she was shot 4 times.
So they are, since they're using, they're just like, okay, I'm gonna shoot and I'm gonna pass you the gun and you shoot. So they're just really just reloading and passing it through the car like they passing the
Mm.
gun or something.
Yes, isn't that weird?
Wow.
That's weird. December the 24th, they found located a John Doe, but he wasn't discovered till later, in which they tied him to the actual zebra murderers. But that was December the 24th, which we'll get into his death a little later. So that was the first wave. The city was, of course, scared. They upped their policemen. So that was their first wave of killing. After the 24th, it just all of a sudden kind of died down. Well, on January the 29th, 1974, it picked back up. They did 5 more additional shootings, 4 of which of them were fatal. Tanya Smith was shot while she was walking to the fabric store. Vincent was shot while he was walking home. Tanya and Vincent did die. John was shot while he was collecting cans. He was 84 years old. He was collecting cans. Jane was shot while doing laundry at the laundromat. And then Roxanne was shot while carrying some stuff from her car to the apartment, but she survived. However, she is wheelchair bound. Then, not shortly after, Thomas was shot 3 times, but he did not get identified as a zebra murder victim until much later. It's just that he was shot within that time frame. They didn't immediately tie him to those murders. April the 1st of 1974, two Salvation Army cadets, they were walking back. A black man overtook them, wheeled them around, shot them 4 times. The 19-year-old, which was Thomas, the male, he died. Linda, who was a female, was 21. She was able to survive. The policemen, now this is the trip about that one, that story. The policemen were literally on the scene within 15 seconds because they happened to be in the area, but still were not able to catch them.
And this is the crazy thing is that it's not just so how was I mean it's a group of folks. So how could you not get there
In
and right.
Well,
And like some random person shooting you and then they take off down the alley. Like there's a group of folks.
yes,
and this is 1970.
it's at least 3 or 4 of them at a time together.
And you're already suspicious of black men running up on people. So if the cops are in an area, why are y'all not more aware? Are these Barney Fifes? Are these donut cops? What are y'all doing? I mean,
And these are all white folks, right? All of them are
Yes,
white that got
all of them
killed
are white.
by a group of black men. But of course, they probably didn't have a good description because we all look alike. So they probably just said it was a group of black men with afros because this is 1970.
short afro. The official description was a short afro with a pointy chin. That was it.
Yes,
A short afro with a pointy
yes,
chin.
and
That could have
that
been
was
a Jewish guy. We don't know.
You know, um,
and then the only thing the cops did do is if they did rule you out, they gave you a card. So when another cop tries to bother you, you can say, "Well, look, I'm already clear from the zebra
Right.
murders."
You got
But
your freedom papers, your zebra
let's
card.
talk about that. Let's talk about the zebra card. Okay, so like you said in the beginning, Jackie, they called it the zebra murders because the channel that they used was the Z channel, and they said because people were interrupting, intercepting their messages. And I think zebra is the phonetic part of the phonetic alphabet. I think
For Z.
yeah, or no, it's supposed to be whatever. Um,
Whatever.
so
I got an A in phonetics, so I don't know.
is it Zulu? But I thought it was Zulu. But that's not what we're talking about. Um,
I'm just saying
so
I got an A in phonetics. 98%. Matter of fact, 100. I think it was 100% in
you
my
don't know what it is.
phonetics class.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I just
took
want to put it out there. I thought the zebra came from whatever frequency they were using,
right,
but I don't
right,
know.
right. So because that's what they called it. It was the Z frequency because
Yeah.
but I got confused because I thought that they would use the phonetic alphabet and use Zulu. But hey, again, I didn't take phonetics, I took linguistics, so I don't know. So they do that and they, like you said, they beef up police presence and all of that. And then they authorized the mayor and the police chief authorized for the officers to basically stop and frisk every black man available.
Every black man.
And
Mhm.
you went down to the police station, and I'm quite sure this wasn't an easy transition. They didn't just say, "Hey, can meet me down there." It was probably paddy wagons everywhere loading people up. And then you got your picture taken, and then you got a zebra card. So if you were stopped again, they would already know that they had talked to you and they had ruled you out.
Freedom papers.
Freedom papers. They didn't do this with the Zodiac killer.
No.
They didn't do this with any serial killer at all, ever in the history. They didn't do this with Son of Sam. They didn't do this with the guy in New York who was killing the little boys. Uh, they never did this. They never did this before. So, but they did do it before that time. But they did do it in, I believe it was Boston. Was it Boston? In the 80s, there was a guy, a pregnant woman, his wife, and he said that he was attacked by two black men and blah, blah, blah. And so they wreaked complete havoc over the city. They were busting in people's homes, taking young black men out of the house. And turned out it was the white husband, the white Jewish husband, who had killed his own wife. So it seems
That could be a whole. That could be a whole other show of how many
Okay.
stories and crimes were committed that black folks were blamed for, and then come to find out Susie Q done killed her kids or something.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So I, it's just more of the same. Like we're still doing this. We're still talking about this. And people, people are like, it's not real. It is. I'm older than both of y'all. So not quite 1974, but in possibly in my lifetime this could have happened. That you rounded up black men like cattle.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to
Raised-
think this is their fear, and this is their stereotype come true. There is a gang of black men running around raping women, killing men, cutting off heads. Like that is their this fear that they've had forever, that we're out there lingering in the shadows to come
Right.
do them harm. So this is their fear come true. They're gonna do whatever they can do to try to catch this group of savage thugs who are running around here killing all these people. And if we have to stop every black citizen in San Francisco, then that's what we're gonna do.
That's
yeah.
what we're gonna do.
I was listening to an interview that I believe it was the author of one of the books about the zebra killings. Um, it's on YouTube, and I'll post the link to it. But he was saying how that at that time the black population in San Francisco was about 33%. That's a lot.
That's a
That's
lot.
a lot.
He said,
Mhm.
but now due to gentrification, there's maybe 1% black population in San Francisco. Um, so just imagine how many people, black men it was that they rounded up. And I have to say it might like shoddy police work, because like you said, They were at the scene within 15 seconds and you couldn't catch somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how careful you are, the streets talk. So there's no way that someone is committing all these murders in broad daylight, out in broad daylight, or in front of people, and no one knows who did it. Like you don't,
Right.
no
But
one knows.
the black folks was mad too, because um, you up
You're putting a
here,
spotlight on us.
on Rollo and Leroy, everybody going down. We all got to go down and get our zebra card because these fools is are acting up.
Too
Like I would
ex-
be pissed
ex-
off if I'm up here, we getting pulled out of our car. They weren't doing it nicely. Hello, sir. Can we just want to see if you might be one of the zebra killers? But you know, let me. I'm not trying to hurt you or nothing. But can you just stand here and put your hands behind your back, please? Or the cuffs too? They're not too tight, are they? They weren't doing none of that.
No.
So
Mm-mm.
a mess.
So, in total, sorry, I reached a milestone, y'all. I don't know what that is. Because I ain't did nothing. Uh, in total, how many between 1973 and 1974? How many like total victims in that particular, the first wave and the second wave?
24.
Wow.
Not all of them died. Only 14 or
Mm.
15 end up being killed, but a total of 25, 4 or 25.
And it
Wow.
surprises me that this we do not know about this because a gang of black men killing folks, that seems like that would make primetime news. But I think probably part of the reason we don't know about it is because that police work was just,
Trash.
yeah. And they didn't want themselves to look bad. Because why wouldn't we have not heard this story?
Right.
Right.
I've seen some comments that um, they didn't push the story forward because they didn't want to perpetuate stereotype of black savages. We saw that same thing with the brothers from Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
that we did the story on, where they didn't really talk about what the Kansas massacre. They really didn't push that story forward because I had never heard of it, because they didn't want to perpetuate stereotype of black men just killing random white people. In this Kansas massacre story, I don't think that was necessarily true, because that was a racial thing, because they just killed some people in Kansas because there's a lot of white people in Kansas. I mean, it's just what it is. And they killed like 5 or 6 people at one time,
Right.
then kind of just did it in that night. But this one is different because they deliberately killed white people. So the
Mm-hmm.
question for me is it religious zealotry? Were they just religious zealots because they were part of the NOI, which is the Nation of Islam?
Mm-hmm.
Um, were they starting? Was this just to start a race war? Because that's what Charles Manson tried to do. Um, with the Helter Skelter killings in '69, I believe.
I mean, they are saying that it possibly was to start, just a race war amongst people in the neighborhood, people in the area. But it was kind of like, the Nation of Islam against everyone else. It's not like all of the African Americans were together. It was like they were separate because,
But
like Brandon was
was this
saying,
sanctioned by the
everybody else
Nation of
is.
Islam, or were they just claiming that, okay, we're part of the Nation of Islam, we're Black Muslims, and we're going to do this? Because they also had another name of the Death Angel, so they
Yeah.
they had like this little clique. This is what we're going to do. So it's kind of like, was this sanctioned by the Nation of Islam, or just because they were Black Muslims and a part of that sect, then the Nation of Islam kind of took the brunt of, because they're Black nationalists. So, do, you know what I'm saying? Like, was it
Mm-hmm.
sanctioned? Was this a part of, some official or unofficial movement to kill white people? Because it wasn't very
What
efficient.
I want to know is what else was going on in the city at that time. Like this was a tumultuous time in history from the 60s to early 70s, where I was thinking maybe something happened in the city. I don't know, somebody killed by the police, or anything that could have
Spark
got them
that.
riled up. But the sheriff's department or nobody's going to know that, because they just they don't see, if somebody's killed that's innocent or whatever, they're not going to see that as a problem, where we would be like, oh yeah, that's a problem. So I was like, I'm wondering what other stuff was going on around that time,
Let me ask you,
because they
Brandy.
quit for a while and then they riled back
That's a
up.
good question.
Let me ask you. And I don't recall the exact year. When did George Jackson go to prison from Soledad Brother, the book Soledad Brother? When did he go to prison? Because he was a part of the Black Panther Party, and he and his brother had got killed by cops. Trying, there was an altercation with some police officers. His brother was killed, and then George went to prison because he went to avenge his brother. He went to prison, and then he ends up getting killed in a prison riot himself. So I think, I'm not saying that there's a direct correlation to that, but I think that's part of that was going on around that time. I know the Black Panther Party at the time, and they're not even mentioned in this, but was big in the Bay Area during this time. So there was a lot of police conflicts um, with Black nationalists and these type of groups during that time. And I think maybe
I saw
the
something
whole
where
movement.
the people didn't even believe that it was black people. They were like, oh well, it's some white person in blackface. Like they had all kind of, like, they were very distrustful of what the police were saying
Mhm.
about this group of men um
And they
killing
were
these
also
white
thinking it
people.
was a Zodiac killer because at the time the Zodiac killer was active, and they were like, "Is this the Zodiac killer?" Because the Zodiac killer was killing at random. They never found out who
George,
that was.
the George Jackson situation happened in 1971.
Okay,
So yeah,
okay, good, thank you.
So that's what I'm saying. There had to be something going on around that maybe we don't know now because it's not reported on.
mm,
You got to really try to find information on them anyway.
Right,
So they're not going to say, oh, and then I don't see anybody saying anything that a black person reporting on, or have anything that I saw where it was from a black person's
perspective.
right.
perspective.
There is.
So I was thinking that maybe some stuff was going on and they were retaliating, and as this group. But I don't know. It's just something I thought about. Maybe they were seeking revenge or whatever because of what was going on at the time, because
Mm.
that wasn't one of the highlighted times for black folk. And then because of the Black Panthers, they're already scared with these armed men. Even though Black Panthers, they're demonized as this terrorist group, but that's not even what they were.
What they were about.
No,
Yeah.
So
no.
that's why I was thinking maybe during this time they were retaliating against something that was going on in the community.
And it very well could be that.
Sure could.
But like you said, like historically in the Bay Area, you have the mid to late 60s going up until this time here in the mid 70s. You have the counter revolution, um, the women's movement, gay rights movements, the Black Panther movement. So you have all these national, these groups converging in the Bay Area. And then you've got drug culture and um, sex culture. Everything, all this stuff is going on in the Bay Area at the time. And I just think that maybe the police were overwhelmed with all of this. Um, and again, this is the time when being a serial killer was actually, the phrase was actually coined during the 70s.
Right.
I've talked about this, said this before, that the Pacific Coast was serial killer
Yes, it was.
heaven.
Hmm.
Yes,
You
it
know,
was.
from the top all the way down to the bottom. Like, if you were a serial killer, the 70s and the 80s were the time to be a serial killer because there was just so much going on. There were so many people there, students. Everyone was free, the free love, no one locked the door. So you still have this sort of, a post-war innocence that you still have. And all of that changed because now people are locking the doors. People are scared. You've got Charles Manson going through um in a
I mean, they were scared of the hippies with the long hair. Like
right.
if you watch documentaries during that time, there's definitely a line between the older generation and the new generation.
Right.
How the older generation saw them as they were freeloaders. They're coming in here. They got with their drugs and their free sex and they're doing all this stuff and they're wild and crazy. They're anti-war and all this stuff. And it was a culture clash like between
Yes.
literally between parents and children.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
Right.
all this stuff is going on at this time. And I when I seen they tried to pin 75 murders on this group. But I think that they just was like, man, we got these murders. We ain't got, they're
We
similar.
got eats.
They did them all. They did all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because like I said, the murders in 73 and 75, they all did it with the same gun. So if
Mm-hmm.
they were shot with the same weapon. So that goes to show you like these are not real criminals. These are just dudes on a crazy mission and they're literally passing the gun as if they're passing a cigarette. So unless those 70 murders that they're trying to round them up for are tied to the same gun or, you know, a group of guns, you know what I mean? It can't just be random murders and say, okay, these are the same type or whatever, because
As you were saying, I mean, serial
they had no
murder
plan.
was big. It was big during that time anyway in the Pacific Coast. And I was like, y'all just gonna pick. Well, okay, well now since we don't know who did these, we just gonna give them to them because
Right.
don't know who did it, and it just has to because they're white, maybe.
Right.
And it
And
was.
can we really consider this as a serial killing though?
Well,
Mhm.
they killed
Or is this a rampage? It's more like a rampage kill
Rampage.
or
but they did some other like chopping that woman's head off and all that. Like they did some like real gruesome
Yeah,
things.
the John Doe person I told y'all about, they took
Mhm.
him back to because they all worked at Black Self Help Moving Storage, like a company.
Mhm.
They took this white man back to that storage thing. They bound him up and they took time. They took while he was alive. He ended up dying eventually, but they all took turns hacking off his limbs. They would take turns, like do a couple of hacks. The next person come in, do a couple of hacks. He was alive, at least for most of it, and then he ended up dying. When they
I
found
think
his body, yeah, they found his body floating, no limbs, no nothing.
I think that where they messed up, and I mean I'm not trying to say this, uh, I'm saying it, but y'all understand what I'm saying. The reason they messed up is because of those folks that got away, because of those folks they had the composite sketches,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
they put them on TV.
And Anthony Harris. Anthony
Yeah,
Harris.
Yeah,
baby, sung, didn't he?
Yes. Okay, so they convicted 4 men of the
Mm-hmm.
murders, but there were 7 men that were always suspects. But of the seven, 4 were convicted, and I'm quite sure Jackie you have their names. But Anthony Harris stuck out to me because Brandy, you mentioned this earlier. Anthony Harris saw himself in one of those sketches,
Yes, he did.
and he's like, "I ain't, I ain't going down for this."
yeah.
So
He said he wasn't gonna be safe because imagine you live next door to Anthony Harris, and your son and everybody been round up, and this you're like that man, that's Tony. And it was a reward, probably a reward too.
it
That's
was,
Tony.
it
I'm about
was
to call.
what,
A
Yeah, I'm
$30,000
gonna call. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go beat up Tony first.
right.
yeah,
Then
but
I'm
thirty
gonna
thousand
call.
dollar award they had.
Yeah,
So he went to the police and he admitted that he knew who did it. He was there for some of those murders, but he never committed any of the murders
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted to basically proactively say, look, I don't do it. And one thing about when you have multiple defendants in a case, whoever gets to the police first gets the best deal. They get
Yep.
the biggest piece of the pie. So
Yep.
He did a very smart thing by going to the police first. Even though he was present, he could have been culpable. He was culpable for those murders. But he's like, if I give you this, I can give you all of them.
Do you think
But
he really didn't do anything, or you think he just?
Oh, I think he
oh,
definitely
I
did
think he
stuff.
definitely did something.
But they
Because,
probably did so much wanting to get them so bad. They was
right.
because they gave him immunity, didn't they?
Yeah, he got full immunity. Got a name change, him, his girlfriend, and her child.
Because here's the thing,
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about mob mentality and you talk about, I know you guys have read Lord of the Flies
Mm-hmm.
and Animal Farm. Um, you get a group of people together
Right.
and they are somewhat like minded. They are going to attack the thing. Whether I believed it or not, eventually I'm going to attack the thing. The excitement is going to get to me, the adrenaline is going to get to me, and I'm going to participate.
Mm-hmm.
And you share, you have a collective mind, like the John Doe that they took to the storage unit and they're hacking his limbs. You might find it repulsive and you're like, I can't do this. But at some point, you're going to get excited by this and you're going to take
Mm-hmm.
your aggression and hate, whether it's towards that person, towards a white person or not. You are going to
Yeah.
take that aggression and hate out on that thing. And then you now become a part of it. So you have a collective mind. And one of the questions that I have is, again, were they just evil? Or was it all of all these social issues and poverty and all of these things put together?
Mm.
And
I think it was all of that, and then they found
a target.
like-minded people who would
Yes.
do that
Yeah.
because
Yes.
I mean, black we don't use. I mean, I don't. From what I know, I mean, I don't know every black serial killer, but we don't be hacking off limbs and doing stuff like that. You know, they might strangle them I mean, they was doing
Some crazy
some
stuff.
crazy
Some
stuff.
some Nat Turner kind of stuff. Um
Yes.
and that's the thing. It's like because they were white people and they had this black nationalist view that we are going to attack and kill white people. Um and the one of the guy that wrote the book, and I again from YouTube, he's like he called them, people trying to get back at the white devil. Um and that was a sentiment back then. It was like black is beautiful and we're gonna take ourselves back. Basically, we're gonna take ourselves back. But you had some of these groups or sects that broke off from larger groups, from Nation
Mm-hmm.
of Islam, from the Black Panthers, and you had some violent groups that were like, by any means necessary, we're gonna get them. So I think that's what happened, and they associate them with the um, Nation of Islam, but I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
I
No.
don't think that's fair because the Nation of Islam has long taken a lot of flack for
And
these groups
and
that are Muslim, and and it's kind of like if they're Muslim, they have to, you're a Nation of Islam, or you're whatever. And there was a lot of groups.
and
Um,
even with the Nation of Islam, even I think they were trying to clear their name. If you want me to be honest, I think they didn't want that kind of association with their organization to make them look bad, because here they were trying to get these men off. Like they were like, here, look, you can have our lawyers. NAACP was involved. Like, here, we're gonna give you the best lawyers we have because they are pushing it as racially profiled murders.
mhm.
Let's try to get y'all off any way possible. Of course, that didn't work. But I think that they were just like, look, we really don't want to make it look like, we're that kind of, group organization. We're not like that. We're trying to make things better. So I think that's what they were trying to do. It just, unfortunately, it just got tied to them,
Yeah. Um,
unfortunately.
yeah, and I think as far as the defense from the Nation of Islam and NAACP, I think, like you said, they were trying to distance themselves from those groups as well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't want to be associated with it. I ain't doing it at the time. Elijah Muhammad was still living, so he didn't want, it wasn't too far past the assassination of Malcolm X, and so they're still dealing with the
Right.
fallout from that. Um,
Right.
So they don't want any parts of it. They don't want to rock the boat because the Nation of Islam is very, very powerful, has been for a long time, and has been on the FBI's watch list for a very, very long, since the beginning. So
Right.
they didn't want any part of that. Also, as far as their defense, especially from the NOI and NAACP, I think more than anything, those two groups were trying to make sure that these guys weren't railroaded, that their trials would be fair, that they would have adequate counsel. Um, you did it. We know you did it, but we want what the law says that you should have. You should have a fair trial. You should have adequate counsel and all of these things. And I think sometimes when we defend, when we come to the aid of defendants, whether they're black or white or whatever, the law says that you should have a fair and speedy trial, no matter who you are or what you did. So we want that for everybody. Everybody is due that as a citizen. Even as a non-citizen, you are due that if you
You
work
are
in
do
the
that.
United States court. And people of color typically don't receive that. So I think that the push or whatever for, especially for the NAACP, is that you get a fair and honest trial, and that you don't get railroaded, and that you don't accept something that um that's going to end your life. And that happens a lot, that you get public defenders that don't care, and so just take the deal, or you get information or that never comes to light until 25 years later, and the judge can now, that your lawyer, the prosecutor is now a judge, and he can't talk about it, and they don't want to. So it's all of those things. As far as the defense of the convicted. Now, Jackie, what are their names? I want to.
Yes, the four that were convicted was Manuel Moore. Manuel Moore was not. He did not get the support of the Nation of Islam. They did not support him because he took a plea deal, so they didn't support him. Larry Green, Jesse Lee Cooks, and JCX Simon. Yeah.
Do we know if they're still alive now? I mean, I'm pretty sure they're on death row.
They are.
California don't kill folks.
I think all four of them are still living, and just two. Because I think I read an article that somebody came up for parole recently, and that was denied.
So how the other two die in prison? Like from, was it natural causes or?
Yes. Both of them. Manuel Moore died actually in 2000. One of them died in 2017. One died in 2014. One of them, they walked in. Manuel Moore, they just walked into his cell. He had died, natural causes. And I want to say Larry Green, he just died of natural causes. They just got old and died.
We don't know where Tony's at.
They're both still, yes. I didn't write down the name of the facility. I'm gonna look it up here in a second.
Calling that man Tony Anthony.
Yeah, his name Anthony Harris. You said Tony like he live up the block from you.
Yeah.
Oh, he hiding off. Don't nobody know.
So he went to witness protection.
Yeah, don't nobody know where he is. Him and his girlfriend and they child gone. Nobody know anything. I mean, he sung. I mean, he sung it out. He even told things that they didn't know. He told it all.
And that's how they knew that he was telling the truth, because he was giving them information that they're like,
we ain't talked about these.
Yeah, that just shows how much they wanted to catch them, that they would give him immunity because he was a part of it.
Right.
And Tony,
and admitted part of it. Yeah. But again,
and Tony, like,
police first get you the best piece of the pie.
Do you think that people would have came after Tony because he snitched, I guess, would where we called the folks who came after Tony? Because I've been like, man, I'm just tired. I'm just ready for it to be over.
I don't think that they would have given him up to the police. I don't care. You cannot name me one black criminal. You could live upstairs from the dude. You are not going to give him up to the police. I've never seen it happen. But if he snitches,
so he would have got beat up for snitching, not necessarily because he
not because of the crime. He would have got it because of the snitching.
Because of snitching, you gave it up to the police.
But they was doing some crazy stuff. See, I don't even believe in that snitch culture because I'm gonna tell. And if there's a reward, you better believe I'm gonna tell.
Listen, I suggest that you already have your passport in hand and you got a ticket when you leave the police station.
Because they find out.
Was there?
I mean, it get back quick.
Because historically and currently, we have such a distrust of the police and what the police will do to you, and it's what the police will do to you, and then also what they won't do for you. We don't believe that the police are going to protect us. We do not. So this is why we don't tell them you could commit a murder in front of us, and most Black people in urban communities are like.
So you don't think the folks were at a point where they're like, I'm tired of this, and I'm glad that they done caught all of them.
No,
because I'm thinking if they was gonna be mad at him for snitching, was there some more of the group that was gonna come out and be like, oh, we about to roll up on Tony because he done told on such and such and such?
probably. I mean, if these guys are that violent to decapitate somebody and kill somebody,
remember, it's like 4 people. Only four people are caught. I mean, they're saying 7, but you really don't
about
know.
7 of them though.
Yeah, you really don't know.
7.
There were suspects.
7 suspects, but you don't know how big the actual group is, or how many people are actually really involved. Tony just gave out you can't gotta be calling that man Tony. Tony only gave 4.
Right. So I mean,
I'm just saying, like, I would be like, man, I'll be side-eyeing Tony because I'm like, no, you know, he was a part of it, but then I'll be like, I'm glad that them fools got arrested because they up here causing all those problems. That's like if there's a what you call it, somebody that shot up someplace or something, and you know we like, well, you know, he ain't black, don't let him be black, and then you come out to be black, you be pissed off. Like, man, you got all these folks all hiding, they stopping everybody. Like, I'm glad that they arrested them fools. I don't care how long they go to jail.
We're gonna be glad and we will rejoice about it, but we're not gonna tell. Think about when we did the story about the Briley brothers. Remember the guy, their friend that they killed? Remember? Yeah. They went into his house, killed him, his wife, and the pregnant wife and his son.
Yeah.
He knew what they were doing. But for fear of his own self, even though it didn't help him, he's not going to tell, because what if they get out?
Well, they also said that they did have a reward, and Tony saw himself one because he didn't
trying to collect the reward.
And 2 because he thought he was going to get the reward.
Tony was stupid. Don't be Tony.
I mean, Tony ain't too smart. They know about to give Tony, give him that money.
Yeah,
they're not about to give you no money, Tony.
We're not gonna tell them. We're not telling.
Tony went for that 30.
Tony guy, he had hit the jackpot.
Now Tony worked down there at the Wawa, and don't nobody know who he is.
No, he old. So he probably a Walmart greeter.
Mm-hmm.
He got a little age on him now.
Talking about you have a good day,
I'm pretty sure his girlfriend done went back home and she ain't in hiding. I'm pretty sure they didn't last.
Yeah, she wasn't sticking around for that. I didn't sign up for this.
She's a single mother. She ain't got no family around to watch the baby and nothing.
Nope.
And whisked her off somewhere else. She didn't stay.
Savannah done found a good man someplace else.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, we wouldn't have told. We just.
I'm telling everything. And I'm even going to tell you, I think the grandma was in it too. I'm going to tell everything. Because I didn't like how she was looking at me when I was checking her out. So I'm telling on her, on Tony, on Geraldine, Savannah, and I'm telling on everybody, and I want my reward.
Just for reference, the man's name for y'all out there is Anthony Harris. We don't know if he ever went by Tony. We don't know if that was his second name. We don't know if
that man went by Tony.
We don't know if Tony was his house name. We don't know. And if y'all don't know about house names, I can't tell you about it. But listen, the man's name officially on the docket is Anthony Harris. That's what we're talking about in the story. It's Anthony Harris.
How many black folk you know Anthony that go by Anthony? Tell me one. Just tell me one. that you know one person.
I'm just saying officially the man named Anthony.
But I'm just saying, tell me one. You know some Anthonys. How many say, "Yeah, my name's Anthony," or do they say, "My name is Tony"?
It's Tony.
That's Tony.
They say Tony.
That's May May's baby boy.
You said who?
May May. That's May May's baby boy, Tony.
Oh Jesus.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So two of the guys are still alive. Still in prison. Recently denied parole. Apparently there's like a reunion of the survivors every year, which is macabre. They get together every year and celebrate their life. I mean, I guess that's fine, but
After the first or second year, I'm good.
Thank you.
I don't want to.
We're good. We don't have to keep seeing each other.
No, because you just have to relive it all over.
But I'll just say I don't want to keep reliving that.
So okay, so before we wrap up, were they religious zealots? Were they just trying to incite a race war, or were they fucking psychos?
Psychos.
Psychopaths.
I think they were psychos. I think they were smart enough to know that we are Muslim and we're going to use that.
Yeah.
To start this. I don't even know if it was a start a race war because they were just killing people. So they didn't even have like a manifesto or anything like that to say, they didn't write on the wall or nothing. They just started killing random white people. So I really think that they were radicalized in their heads in so in their heads that we're going to kill white people. They are the reason why we're here and doing this in this condition, and they just decided that they were going to go out and do it and use Nation of Islam and the racial tension going on to move down the line. I just think they were evil as fuck.
Yeah, they're just super evil.
Yeah.
Super.
So I think that's what happened. So that was our take on the zebra killings. You can read further. There's a couple books on Amazon about the zebra killings. If you're looking for information, is very, very, very little out there. YouTube has like these 5-6 minute videos, but not very much. And that goes to show why we really didn't know about the zebra killing. So the information that we've been able to find and use, I will post that in the show notes. So I don't know what story we're going to do next week. Let's look at the wall.
It'll be exciting.
There's a lot of stuff we could do.
It is. It's so stuff. So much.
I don't know. We could. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff we could do. I think we'll probably switch it up a little bit. Last week we'll shake it up a little bit. On next week, I'm not sure with what. But I'm gonna dig in the crates and shake something out and see what we can find to both inform and entertain the hell out of you while we're here. So do want to thank you guys for joining us for another week. Also thank Brandy for joining us for another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. Always good to talk to her and get her opinion. So we will see you next week, same time, same YouTube channel. In the meantime, go to Instagram at Black Coffee Crime, also Facebook Black Coffee Crime, and see what we're doing. We'll always post new stories, things that are in the news, and then also the subjects for the coming week. Now, one thing I just want to say, because we always go off on tangents, and before this show gets way too long, I discovered TikTok for myself a couple of days.
I am a TikTok head. It is entertaining.
I have gone down so many rabbit holes on TikTok.
It's entertaining.
So I'm thinking that Black Coffee and Crime needs a TikTok, especially for
that'd be good.
Especially for things we find on Al Gore's internet. So I'm gonna think about how to get that together and do some reaction videos and some duets.
I'm not supporting your TikTok obsession. let me do this.
Listen, okay.
It's a good idea. It's a great idea.
I work nights, so I'm like up until 6:30 in the morning.
How many videos you be sending me?
I'm up to 5 in the morning.
I was on TikTok the other night. I was like, this is wonderful. This is awesome. This
Why?
I'm not
I mean,
supporting this habit.
literally, like, and then once you watch one video, it's like they keep you in those same little patterns. You look up, you didn't 2-3 hours and pass by even watching
Yes.
TikTok.
I feel like I know people. Um, so I think that Black Coffee and Crime needs in
I think so too.
TikTok. The
That'd be
world
great.
deserves.
Randy, no?
The world deserves for us to be on TikTok. I'm trying to tell you. Um, at least for what happens on Al Gore's internet. Like we need to do some reaction
Jesus.
videos. So, Brandy, you don't approve?
Whatever, everything you post, I'm gonna put the side eye or rolling eye on it. I'm gonna comment.
I love TikTok.
I think that the world deserves to see us on TikTok.
On
So
TikTok, yes.
look out for that. But for now, Instagram and Facebook, Black Coffee Crime. And if you want to give some coffee money, you see that, and that is the $ BLK Coffee Crime. So you can always throw a couple quarters in the cup for coffee. So that we
Wait,
can
Brent, you
continue
like the kind that what? What
we
kind do you like?
the kind that jingles, but we'd rather have the kind that so there's that. So again, yeah, thank you guys for joining us. As always, be safe, be blessed, and enjoy that second cup. So we will see you all next week.
Bye.